Welcome to episode 8 of Behind the Seams with Standard Issue Tees. Jared is operating the business right now, so he couldn't make it. Surprise, surprise. But the beauty of everything, the fact that we exist in Los Angeles, you meet amazing people, and you got to do what you got to do to work with their schedule to get them in and get them out based on what they got going on. So today's is a fucking legend. A legend. Just backstory real quick. A minute ago, I had a friend at a sneaker store in Louisiana, and they said, Jimmy, we got a giveaway with a legendary snowboarder and Virgil. Can you just shoot some assets for it? We're actually doing a couple giveaways with the boards. At that point, I wasn't snowboarding. So he sends me the material. I send it off. It gets posted. About a year or so later, this is in the pandemic. Yeah, so I'm looking for something to do with my family. And I'm like, yo, all of these years, I've been in awesome skate shops that have really back snowboarding. And I'm like, yo, you know what? I'm going to make a couple calls. I'm going to get the stuff that I need. It's time. And I'm going to get into it. And I have fallen completely in love with it, which is why today is equally as remarkable, because I have, it's the man, the myth, the legend, another East Coast compadre. Stand up. Mr. Russell Winfield. Jimmy, how are you? Pretty good. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for having me. This is really cool to me. It's like when, I'm learning all this stuff now, and I've always been a very intuitive person with anything I dive into. I love hearing people's stories. I love hearing, especially cultures like skate, like snowboarding, seeing how they develop, things that have taken place to get companies to where they are, people to where they are. And your story, everything that I've found out has been remarkable. So I really appreciate you coming on board. Yeah, for sure, man. I guess, first things first, like, having grown up on the East Coast, doing things that are very non-traditional, like people didn't rock with me skating when I was a kid. For you discovering snowboarding, in conjunction with whatever traditional sports that you played, what your family knew of it, like how what was that like getting into it and seeing the response of those around you, family, friends, and whatnot? Well, I've always been a pretty stubborn human, right? So when I saw it and found it and immediately fell in love, honestly, I didn't care what anybody else thought. Like I knew what I knew, and I knew what I wanted to do, and that's what it was. And much like skating, once you even scratch the surface of the culture of these sports, I guess you can call them, you gain a whole new family, mm-hmm. right? And so for me, it was easy. Like, and my parents have always been super supportive. Like they were a little bit standoffish because I had a path that I'd been on since I was 3 years old, for career and everything. With hockey. That's awesome. So they were like, we don't really know, but we got you. Whatever you think is right, go ahead. Yeah. And so for me, it was easy, because I didn't, and in the whole traditional sports thing, I was over it, bro. I just didn't, I'm cool. Yeah. Like I'm not that dude. I'm not like that rah-rah fraternity, let's go, boys, kind of cat. So it was easy. It was an easy transition for me. For, like with skating, it's like, obviously you didn't need much. I could just leave the crib and go push around and figure out what in the space in my neighborhood I could work with on a skateboard. Was it difficult finding places to go snowboard once you were fully into it? Like, you mind me asking what mountains and stuff that you would go to as a kid? Well, on the East Coast, it was Stratton Mountain in Vermont, which was like, the snowboard mountain on the East Coast. It's where Burton was. It was 3.5 hours away. So a little bit of a mission. But my whole life I'd played hockey. And we had to travel. Yeah. So like 3.5 hours to me, it was like, yeah, whatever. That was nothing. It could have been 7 hours. I would have still done it. Yeah. Like I would have figured out a way. Once you turned 16, I had my car and I was gone, bro. Did you finish high school? I did. Sort of. Gotcha. I mean, I got my, I didn't finish the last semester. So I went and got the GEDs. Yeah.
And I went to college after snowboarding was done. That just didn't, I'm not much of a tradition.
Yeah.
Looking back, anything like any traditional way of doing stuff just doesn't really work for me,
Yeah, it definitely I felt overwhelmed in high school. I did end up going to college. It took me 6.5 years to finish because it was
I still
come to California, go, you have an opportunity to go to Japan, or who's going to say no to those type of things at that point?
Yeah.
So I guess so you start going up there, you're going to Stratton. Were you going to Hunter at all? All the kids from my hood would always go to Hunter.
In high school, I went to a professional kids school in the city, and we had a ski trip.
All right.
And so we went to Hunter.
Stratton was better than Hunter.
But Stratton was they had the half pipe. They had it all,
Okay, gotcha.
And so that was my spot. But I actually took a year off high school.
No way.
And just lived up there.
Get out of here.
16,
that's amazing.
Yeah. I taught skiing just because my parents were like, you can do what you want to do, but don't think that we're going to pay for it.
Did they offer any sort of they obviously offered a lodging and shit, right?
They did, but I rented a place.
Okay.
I was teaching skiing all morning, and then Stratton had a snowboard team, which is because they have a really prestigious high school there that was all for ski racing. They didn't allow snowboarding. So there was 6 of us that either didn't go to school or went to an alternative school so that we could spend time on the mountain.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and it spawned the first Olympic gold medalist. He was on my team. This kid Ross.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, so it was. We were doing.
Shouts to Ross.
Yeah, shouts out to Ross Powers.
And at that point, I gotta imagine this is relatively early developmental years in snowboarding
80s.
Culture, right?
Yeah, late 80s.
So cats weren't. I seen some ill videos of the way that older folks would talk about snowboarding, at mountains, and they're really it's not that crazy, but I guess any new subculture is going to be, that's how they're going to feel about it at first. So those were, did you genuinely get harsh criticism and vibes from people at a lot of mountains?
Yeah, man. I mean, people didn't, it's like with anything else, people are afraid of change and new things because people get set in their ways, and they think this is theirs and this is the way you have to do this and this. And we were like, nah, it's not the way you have to do it.
Damn.
You can do it this way too.
Yeah. I mean, and I got to imagine you guys are young kids at that point.
Oh, we were punk rock, bro. It wasn't a good look.
But it's it's they're kids, they're just figuring it out. But I guess I'll be the same way. I see little kids walking past my crib nowadays, and I'm like, what are you guys up to? So how long before you start I got to imagine at that point, then you start making Sponsor Me tapes and stuff. Well,
Burton was always in the area. So they were right there. And then it was actually a letter.
Oh,
a handwritten letter.
No way.
And pictures.
Yeah, no way.
Them Kodaks. You sent it to the regional rep.
Because what kind of cameras are around back then? Maybe the over...
Oh yeah, it was probably Betamax or something.
Oh, that's sick.
It's old.
So they had people at the mountains that were scoping all you guys riding pretty regularly then.
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the coaches was this woman, Susie Ruick, who was one of the original Burton team members. And Burton Snowboards was at that point, before they'd moved to Burlington, they were in Manchester, Vermont, which is right next to Stratton. So they all knew who we were. They picked up Ross.
No.
I was on Burton for a little bit, but my first sponsor was this German company that made windsurfers.
Get out of
called
here.
Mistral Snowboards. Damn. And they were pretty, groundbreaking. They had the low profile nose and tail, and they were twin tip, and I was into it.
That's sick. Speaking of Stratton, there's a photographer whom I bought an amazing picture of Harold Hunter from in Washington Square Park.
Gary Land?
Ari's Gary's the man. Gary shot our ice cream ads, and I never realized how legendary Gary was until I seen all the Irish and shit. Gunner.
Oh, Elmets.
Yeah. So Gunner, Gunner's been cool because I seen all his skate photos, but then I see all of these years of what I could tell were very important years of
snowboarding. I got a couple of good shots of that too.
And that's what he told me. And he's like, I only got to shoot with Russ a couple of times, but what I got was really rad. And he was like, yo, we used to drive up to Stratton, park the car in like a back neighborhood.
Yeah, and walk over to the half pipe.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, he's like, it took a while before they got hip to it. And I was like, damn, yo, like this is, you know, those early years of everything to me are always like the cool, you know, that's where you find the illest shit at. So,
yeah.
And so at that point, you're riding for Burton. How old are you? You don't mind me asking?
When I was on Burton, I was probably 17, 18 maybe. And what happened was I got on Burton.
And Burton, at this point, Burton is already a monstrosity.
Oh yeah, they're the biggest.
In the sport.
They're the biggest.
Gotcha.
And so the team manager who put me on, Tim Pogue, left and was going to start something. And you know, like when your plug leaves somewhere, like you're going with
them, yeah.
Because you're like, this next dude is going to have his own group of dudes that he's trying to put on. And I'm, you know, who knows, maybe, but I'd rather just, you know, keep it consistent.
So I had to go back and peep the ride documentary. I made my girl sit on the couch with me Saturday afternoon. We watched it, had a couple of beers, and I was like, this is awesome. You know, obviously to see a company in its early stages and, you know, go through all of these things. And low key, it reminded me that early chapter, which you ushered in, reminded me of a company of a very close friend of ours started, a mutual friend, same vibe. I feel like the riders is the same vibe, where it wasn't about, you know, not necessarily being the best skill wise, but like there are other components that are equally as important to the team, the style and the culture, and that company's Aesthetic Skateboards and Sal Barbier.
Yeah, Sal's real close. Like, so here's the thing. All of us lived in San Diego. So that skate vibe that you felt, that was real. Like those, like Deerdick, Sal, Chef, like all them dudes were like daily. Like we were all in the same clique on the daily. Like we'd be at Pacific Drive a day, like surfing, skating, snowboard. Like that's what it was. So to be 19 years old and be given keys to the castle and like, here you guys go. You know,
right.
It's so Tim left and we were at ASR and I seen him. I was like, bro. Yep. He's like, yeah, it's true. I was like, well, and he was standing next to his old boss at Burton. And I looked at the Burton dude and I was like, I quit, bro. And
this is what I wanted to ask you, because I know Tim had mentioned at the time period that you had a contractual obligation to Burton. I was like, damn, did Russ have to get a lawyer to get up out of this to go?
I was holding my contract, bro.
Your Burton contract.
I didn't sign it yet.
Oh, get out of here.
I was holding on to it because it was not that great. Yeah. I was like, bro, this is and then I was like, I'm going with you. And Burton, there's not much I could say because I didn't sign nothing. And then Tim, like, we put together such a crazy group of people. And the genius of Tim Pogue is to know that he's just, like, he put people in positions to do their jobs. And back then in snowboarding, you know, there were no engineer degrees. There was none of that. So we had to figure out how to make a board work better, right?
Everybody.
The
development, design, the riders, all of it collectively.
We figured like our pro models were all actually designed by us.
No way.
Like these days, a lot of things are like,
you get your shape.
No, here's your design. What do you want to do for graphics? And it's like, well, you know,
this ain't even really what I might be riding.
Yeah. But, you know, so we had a lot of say in everything, from the ads to the feel, to the shapes, to the graphics, to the team. Like, and that's what shaped Ride. And that's what made it different.
Gotcha.
I said it wasn't done by some corporate dude who really didn't have his hand on the pulse. It's like we were the pulse. They let us build a brand around that.
With the graphics and stuff, were you actually drawing them up, or are you working with their graphic designers?
We worked with this dude who was real big in the San Diego skate scene, Ron Lemon.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Damn.
He ended up working for George Lucas, like running all the graphics for all the Star Wars. Like this dude was crazy. Yeah, he's crazy.
Pacific, you know, obviously like growing up skating, Pacific Drive was like, you know, when I'm looking at the West Coast from Philly, everything, all my favorite skaters, Sal, Dunger, they're, you know, like a lot of these guys, you know, are all in SD.
Yep.
You know, and it was interesting. So when you But SD is a beach.
It is a beach.
So when you guys, were people tripping like, why are all these snowboarders living here? Or they're just like, yo, this is the shit. Why would they not move here?
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, we were traveling so much that, and this is my logic, 19-year-old logic. I was like, well, if I'm always going to be traveling, I might as well like have my house in the vacation spot so that when I go home, I can just kick it.
It's peace.
You hear me?
Yeah.
So that was part of it. And also the first time I went there, I had done a contest at Big Bear, and I was hanging out with this dude who lived in Mission Beach in Pro Shred. And he was and there was a contest in like 2 weeks in, up north at Squaw Valley, which is now Palisades. And, he's like, I was like, what do I do? Do I go back to Colorado? He's like, you know what? Just come down to the beach with me. I'm a New York kid. I ain't never been, that's like some Grail stuff to us East Coast kids. SoCal, the beach. Yeah. And so I fell in, like, I pulled up in St. Mission Beach and I was tripping.
Damn. Culture shock.
I was like, oh, wait, like what? I was like, I'm coming back. This is,
it is, man, there is something peaceful about San Diego too. And I could imagine back then it's like, with all the skaters there, so many of the brands there, and I'm sure to some degree that being so close to all of those, that culture that only helped strengthen and create new relationships with sponsors and shit. Let me backtrack real quick. Cause there's a couple things I wanted to ask you. What's, you mind me? This is random as fuck. What's your favorite video part that you ever put out?
Either the Ride Toy Stories one or my first one, the Pocahontas one.
Okay, bet. Because both of those I'm going to go home and watch today. I was curious. It was like, where in your career did those parts fall, if you mind me asking?
First and third video part. I just, coming from traditional sports, like you have an expectation of yourself, of what you want to do and what you should get back from it.
Yeah.
And, you know as well as I do that like your first part, like you're going, like
that's everything.
It's do or die.
That's it.
Like you don't care. Make or break. Yeah. And I went until I died. Like I went until I hurt myself. Damn. Like I got lucky. I got invited on a trip and they liked me. And so I stayed on that trip for 3.5 weeks.
Damn.
Like across that, we drove from Whistler all the way back to Colorado, and I hurt myself in Colorado, but we went like Whistler,
and this was Washington. This is a ride trip.
No. This was before ride.
Gotcha.
I was riding Mistrals.
No way.
And then like I was on Mistrals, and the video part dropped, and I got picked up by Burton, and I was with Burton for like 9 months, and then dude left, and so then we started ride.
Just with the two things, like just the shot to get in the van, like the tour van, it's like.
Oh yeah.
You got to work so hard just to get your invite into it. And then you also have to work equally as hard not to,
get launched,
to get cooked and like get disinvited, or not invited back. So it's like, there's so many levels to that people will never understand. It's like, that's like, the training period, it's like, all right, you could get in the van. This guy's really good, but you could get in the van and not be a cool person, and everybody else be like, all right, cool, see ya next time. But so you were maintaining and filming your first part on that actual trip.
Yeah. And this is all like film. So, back then you couldn't look in the viewfinder, there was no screen.
You're getting what you get.
I didn't know if I had, and it wasn't really email, none of that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have Dogger's part, and Mac Dog, who did like the 8th Street stuff. So it was like this dude had just put out the craziest snowboard movie I'd ever seen. And he did all the sickest skate videos before that. And now he's like, hey, getting a rig. And so I was like, what I'm saying? Like that's 17 years old. I was like, okay, I guess this is it.
With filming, filming video parts on the mountain, if you're skating a certain thing, there's no like you hit it and you're riding back down to the bottom of the hill. You're trying a trick and then you're just walking right.
You're hiking back up
until you get it. That's fucking exhausting, yo.
Oh, it's brutal,
dude. I try to do it now and I'm like, nah. We'll just get to the bottom of the hill and go back up. Yeah. All right. That's awesome, yo. So, all right. Speaking of SD, I brought something here. We had kind of talked about it in passing real quick. And And I feel like Nardwuar right now. Ty, can you hand me them 2 pieces that are back there, please? 2 jackets.
Boy. What do we got?
And this is so fucking cool. I know we got a text thread with Derek Curry.
Yeah, shout out to Derek.
And I don't think Derek, I don't think he has any ideas. 2 jackets too, right next to the wall. Oh, underneath there, yeah. Like some of the stuff, I don't think Derek has any idea what we're talking about. Yeah, that one, and then there's one right next to it. You have any familiarity?
Oh yeah, these? That's that dub out that foul weather gear.
Yo, so I had an ill skate shop called Synergy. And thank you so much, Ty. And I mean, they were awesome, yo, in terms of the brands and shit that they carried. They, we were close to the city, so obviously shit like this really resonated with us. And I would just buy like, and then the artists, Steve Williams, Josh Kalis, Kevin Taylor wrote for
I just seen Stevie yesterday.
They were like, yeah, Stevie's he's the legend, man.
Yeah.
So like this stuff resonated with me, and then you're like, "Oh, Jimmy, yo, I was in stars, and I was tripping. I was like, I'm learning all this shit on the fly. So it was like when you said that, I was like, damn, this brand that has such a sentimental value with me, I'm now meeting this gentleman that has such an important role in snowboarding and beyond that, part of the brands and stuff. So, you guys were just dripped out in this shit, head to toe?
All day.
Damn.
Every day.
And I tripped like...
and then Ali Asha had part of,
who's the man, yeah.
Yeah. Bro, I'm telling you, bro, it was...
And the boxes were just coming. Like endless, huh?
The way I would do it, after the first year, the stuff sold so well that like you'd go to get another box and it was gone.
Damn.
So the second year I went in there and just loaded up.
Like give me it now.
Yeah, I just want it all now because that's part of who I am is like the drip. So
was this like how within the snowboard community and fashions that during this time period?
That was it.
I didn't even realize it had started when it had started. Like I've really like got hip to it a little bit later, like, and I've seen ads with 95 and 96,
like Kalis and Swint, they got on. Yeah,
they were that was 98, 99.
Yeah, that was after.
So like,
that was when we were all on Alpha Numeric at that point.
Gotcha. Which Alpha is like,
both of these brands, bro. It's like, and it's funny because we tried. It's like with anything, man. You have an idea of what you want it to be, but there's all these obstacles and people in the way that are like, no, it shouldn't be like this. But like Ken and Damon, rest in peace, Ken Block, brutal. But they were like, yeah, let's go. Let's do this.
That's sick.
And so we got to, because I was wearing 8-ball jackets and drawers jeans on the snow.
There's an ill photo of you
sliding that.
Doing a board slide. Yeah, in a pair of baggy ass jeans. And I was like, damn, cats, they were really...
With Mitch Match Airwalk boots on.
Yo, that was sick, man.
8-ball coach's jacket.
Like that's the same. As a kid, like I saw, okay, this was what regular snowboard clothes looks like. And I'm like, this don't really appeal to me. But then with the skate shop that had this stuff, Ollie's guys would come down to New York. They had like the ill dread salesmen that would come down. Yeah. And I was a kid, I had a little Honda Civic. They'd be like, here, kid, throw these big ass Alpha stickers on your car. But those ads and stuff for Alpha were so good between the skaters and the snowboarders. And Ollie's the illest, man. So shouts to Ollie.
Big majors. Man,
I know Ollie's going through a lot right now. Yeah. And all of our thoughts and prayers the whole community is behind you, Ollie. So
absolutely.
I brought something. I'm gonna totally geek out and nerd right now. So what did I do with this thing? I definitely gonna need you to sign this for me if you don't mind.
Okay.
You can just put it wherever, yo. It don't even matter.
There we go. You can put it on the inside so you can still wear this.
All right. No. I want to show people. I got Russell Winfield's autograph on this thing.
Okay. Yeah. So what we do. How's this? Can I write on here?
Yeah, why not? This ain't the first dub jacket you ever signed either. I already know it.
No.
That's cool, yo. Thank you so much.
You got the cap?
Yeah, yep. Damn. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. That dub foul weather protection gear.
Damn, what was I about to ask you? I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
That's the worst, yo.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate this. That's why I was like, man, I've been going back and digging through all this stuff. So, and it's like, it's really cool to find it. And like, when I do find people that have it in good condition, it's like, they're equally as psyched because
they know about it too.
And they know it's like, it's going to somebody that actually values it. So, this is what I want to say. So it's about 2003. I'm still in Philly, and my old head, he was up on everything. Like, he would put me up on game a lot of shit. He'd go to France, he'd go to Amsterdam and come back, about Potter, Jimmy, and some, these guys from the Netherlands would be in town and be like, oh, this is Guillaume from Potter, super connected. And the one day I'm like, what kind of jacket is that you have on? I'm looking and it's like a little gecko on it. And he's like, oh, Jimmy, this is Arcteryx. And I'm like, what is Arcteryx? He's like, dude, this is the most premium outerwear you're ever going to find. I'm like, better than North Face? And he's like, Jimmy, he's like, North Face is good, but this, and I remember him telling me about it, and I still was like, it never registered. And I'm telling you, this is early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
Years go by, Concepts does a jacket, and I'm like, yo, that's the shit that my man was telling me about. So I think it's awesome. You and I connect. And obviously we watch Arcteryx grow over the last 4 or 5 years, where it's
it's crazy.
You can't put a jacket on eBay without it just blowing up. So like, I'm just curious how that relationship came to be, and what's that like, riding for such an amazing apparel brand, or not even say technical just technical clothes.
Yeah.
It's like,
even they make like, they have that valence.
I wouldn't even
line.
call it.
It's just apparel.
Because
they got valence, and it's all like, taped seam suits and stuff. It's crazy.
I found cool. I found an older rich dude in Ohio getting rid of all this Valence stuff. And I snagged like 3 or 4 pieces. And he's like, I was like, Mac, I ain't got the bread to buy this at retail.
Yeah,
but in terms of riding for them though, what has that experience been like for you, if you don't mind me asking?
It's great. They have, it's a big company, but I deal with a few different people there. My friend Dominique Showers, who like spearheaded, their whole Rebird thing. Yeah. How they're like bringing the old stuff back, and like they'll re-Gore-Tex wash it for you.
I'm going back and learning it all now.
Yeah, it's crazy. So. Like, she was a VP of like, she's the one who did the whole Jill Sander thing.
Gotcha.
And now she started a whole new thing where it's like they're fixing stuff. Like in New York at the West Broadway store, they have a Rebird center. So they got the sewing machines, and you can get your zippers fit. Like,
oh, no way, damn.
And so I've known her forever. She was in with all like the Canadian distribution of Circa and Forum and all that. And so she's been there forever. And so I tapped her. So I was on Holden forever. Mm-hmm. And then Holden we kind of parted ways. And I was like, well, if I'm not going to wear the Holden stuff, I want to wear that Arcteryx stuff. And so I tapped her, and I just wore it on good faith for about a year. And then we worked out a contract.
That's awesome, yo.
And the stuff's good, really, 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 really good.
In terms of is it more of like you have a 1-to-1 situation with them, or is there a team that is built like a snowboard team there? Or
they have a snowboard team. I do more different. I'm on a snowboard team, but I'm more of like a global ambassador situation. So like I do different events with them. I do this thing at their stores called Climbing and Culture. So for me these days, Jimmy, I'm not trying to, put out the crazy video parts anymore, man. It's just, that's not where I'm at. I'm trying to. You
don't need to be.
Yeah, either, I've done it. I've been there, and now I think the next step is to expand the culture, and like bring get new eyes to it. So we're doing a thing. We did one in Chicago last summer where we had, we rented out the climbing gym. We brought a bunch of underprivileged kids in. We had DJ Mustafa, who's a big radio DJ out there, one of Virgil's homies. And he was spinning wrecks at the climbing gym, and we were climbing. And then we went back to the store. We had a jazz band play, and we got awesome. Catered food, trying to like make a welcoming community. You know what I'm saying? Like put some hands out to people.
Yeah. That's awesome, yo. I mean, skating, I love how, I love how much of like, and I'm sure Snow's the same way, where how much it's so much of a subculture, but sometimes I think in the generations that we grew up, it's so much like that it's very exclusive and not inclusive, where these kids nowadays are, it's come on. I really enjoy that. Like it was cool to grow up in those type of, under those like rules and regulations. But when I look back, especially as a parent, I'm like, this ain't that cool, cause it's not allowing the shit to touch other kids in other communities that would actually benefit from this, that probably need something like this. And, and you don't know what people's home situation is like to think what kind of an outlet snowboarding or skateboarding could be with them. It's like, that's very cool, yo.
Yeah. I think back when we were in it, it was different. Yeah. It wasn't in the Olympics. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't underground. Yeah. You need the key to get in the door kind of thing. And now it's out there for everybody. So we needed to shift, the daily operations, so to speak, of everything.
That's awesome, yo. So you do got a discount code I can use for the site?
For the Arcteryx?
Yeah.
I got you.
Okay, better. All right, cool. So I guess that, I know you got a busy schedule. So to bring to the final thing, I thought it was amazing. I got to sit down with you and Derek and chill and rap one day, and it didn't, we were talking and it dawned on me, like, wait, it actually is amazing. Obviously the unfortunate passing of someone like Virgil, but in what he did and the various people that he touched during his career, and I expressed to you, I'll always have such a special place in my heart, because I had a handful of periods where my life was up and down, and this guy was always circling back to even the slightest encouragement where I couldn't find from my best friends. This guy was always the first to be like, yo. So in rapping with you, I got the same sense,
Oh yeah.
And I thought, I could see the enthusiasm in you. Do you mind telling me, whether it's friendship or the board you guys worked on together, just how that situation came to be? Because it obviously is very awesome.
Yeah. So Virgil is a skateboarder and a snowboarder.
Yes.
Like he was, and he didn't do it because it was cool and fashion. Like he actually grew up. He knows about the rotation station in Rockford, Illinois, which is an indoor skate park that I've been and so he reached out and congratulated me on my cover when my cover of Snowboarder came out. And I'm a fan of everything he does. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, this is heavy. He's slid in.
Yeah.
And so we just started chatting back and forth. And then New Belgium Brewery, I have a buddy who's one of their heads of marketing there. He was like, well, why don't you set up a trip? Bring some of your homies. We'll go heliboarding. And I was like, bet. So I hit V up. I was like, hey, man, you want to come on this trip? And he was like, oh, yeah.
That's sick.
And so,
what year was this, if you don't mind me asking?
Was it 2020?
Gotcha.
2020, 2021.
So right mid-pandemic.
Mid-pandemic.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we went to, Powder Birds in Utah, went heliboarding for a few days and struck up a friendship, and we grew up a lot alike, and so it was kinship, and he's just a solid dude.
Yeah.
I learned so much from him, and I also he's a pretty good judge of character, because I know there's people that he had crossed paths with that he didn't really fuck with, so like the fact that he kept fucking with me, kept fucking with you, that says a lot.
Yeah. I when this was 2012, 2013. Ivan Jasper had a
shouts out.
Ivan's the man.
Yeah.
Ivan had a release for his Cordova collection at the Diamond Store. And I remember, I love Ivan, so I was like, I'll cruise over and chop it up with him and Nick, and Virgil happened to be there. That morning I had posted Stevie Williams' 411 profile, Lord's Underground song, TikTok. This is how, that, and that part was so, to me as a kid, was so important. And still to this day, I could watch it and find so much inspiration from it. And I remember walking up, and that was the first thing that he mentioned was that video part, and it caught me off guard. And I was like, I got to skate with him in Chicago in 2005. He came on an ice cream trip. This guy came and went spot to spot with us. I was like, to know that part is like that. You got to have a genuine love for this shit, so.
No, like that's the thing. You say that. I was talking to him because in the 90s, snowboard hole patterns, like to put the bindings on, everybody was trying to do their own thing.
Oh, no way.
And so there were some crazy ones. And he was like, we were talking about hole patterns. And that's the minute I knew, I was like, oh, this dude's different.
Damn.
Like he either studies or he's been in it or both.
That's amazing, yo. Ty, could you do me a huge favor? There's something back there against the wall. Could you happen to grab it for me? It's a little bit bigger.
You got one of them boards?
I told you I'm like Nardwuar right now, yo. Man, this is awesome. Thank you so much, bro.
Oh, there it is.
This one, I don't want to mess that up. I might have to cut that fabric and I had to bring it, yo.
Yeah, there it is.
So Derek was like, actually, you know why this jacket is like flaking like this? You know what might be in the liner causing it to do that?
Nothing good.
Nothing good, right? So Derek, like I said, Derek was telling me when they were doing the giveaway with you, and I just remember seeing the graphic, and I'm like, that graphic is absolutely amazing. All right, before I get in this, separate from this, what's your favorite graphic of yours, if you don't mind me asking?
It's a toss-up. Because I had that Fat Albert, the Russell from Fat Albert graphic, and I had issues with myself, bro, because I was like, I'm never gonna top that graphic.
Oh, no, that is.
I was like, that's my Illmatic, right?
Yeah,
I was like, whatever comes next, and then this thing came out. I think I've been really lucky. I struck gold twice.
Can you tell me how this graphic came to be with you guys? I mean, the obviously inspiration, like whatever, because I always look at it, I'm like, then this board is incredible. I'm not riding it for more than this season. I got to put it up. So I'd had this idea of the Statue of Liberty. Like I like to pay homage back to, New York and the East Coast.
And so I was talking to V. I was like, hey, I got this opportunity to do this board. Would you be down? He was like, oh, let's go.
That's sick.
So he's like, well, what are you thinking? I was like, well, I want to do the Statue of Liberty. And so we just kind of riffed back and forth. Like, I was like, I want to do the Statue of Liberty. And he was like, on the base. And he was like, okay. And then he's like, we should just do the torch on the top sheet and have it all blue. And I was like, yeah, let's use, like one of your low-key calling cards for this season when this came out was all the clouds, like all the LV stuff and Drake's plane. I was like, so let's put the clouds on there. And he was like, bet. And then he was like, and it needs to have that sparkle.
Damn.
So the glitter is Virgil.
Damn.
But we went back and forth. And he was like, and I think that fire, he took that. That was him too, with my name in the fire. Damn. I think, wasn't that like a Neil Blender thing?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, but that's just, knowing Virgil and the way that he pulled inspiration. And then I was like, you got to put your name. Damn. You got to sign that.
This thing is sick. I'm glad I was able to, man, I told you, I bought it off of eBay. I was like, lucky to, I was hitting you.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that this guy is the Jackie Robinson of snowboarding. And I be asking him the most basic, like beginner shit, and I'm so appreciative that he's not like you actually take the time out to get back. Dumb shit like do I have a long enough base on my bindings? Like, yo, I'm just jumping. Like, how can you and you're like, Jim, you can ollie, and I'm like, you can ollie on a snowboard, and you're like, yeah, you can make the thing snap, yo. And you sent me videos. I'm like, the little things like that are so cool to me because like. I mean, I get at the end of the day, we're all people, but it's like the fact that you'll go out of your way to help, just.
I just want people to have a good time, man. Anything I can do, especially little like that, like I'm down. Yeah, it's easy.
I appreciate it, man. So, I know you got a long ass day ahead of you. Got things you have to do. So I'm gonna ask for one more thing before.
Want this thing?
Say
signed?
Peace. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
I've been doing them over.
And this is the illest to me. Ty, you might got to get a picture of that. So thank you so much, yo.
Yeah, thank you.
Like I said, I know you got a busy ass schedule. That's the thing with LA is like people are going. So I
always moving.
You know, whenever I can try to, thank you for working with your schedule to come over here.
Absolutely.
This means a lot. I hope I didn't ask you the most basic questions because I'm literally just like, I'm learning everything now. And it's actually good. Cool at 40 years old to be trying to be figuring it all out.
If you're not learning, you're dying, my man.
Yeah. And that's the last piece I'll leave this with is like, for me, I'll never not be out on a skateboard. Like you said, like I ain't trying to film some like ender video part. It's just actually riding. And I love seeing you continue to do so. You go dumb fast. And I'm like, that makes me feel way too uncomfortable. The one that you had the selfie stick and it broke. When
I crashed.
This guy was going so fast. And you're like, Jimmy, I was going so fast. So the fact that you stay on the board is like, these things don't leave us ever, No. So,
and here, the beauty of it is nobody can tell us because we're the first generation of this stuff. So don't tell me when I'm too old to do it. Yeah. Because I'm never too old to do it. Like people don't get too old to golf. This isn't football where every play I'm running into somebody or anything. You know what I'm saying? Like you can people ski till they're 100. So why can't I snowboard?
I've seen them too, yo. During the pandemic, skating kind of saved me. Like I needed that thing, and my lady would be like, go to the school down the street. And it turned into me learning tricks that I'd never been able to do before, relearning tricks that I'd never imagined doing again. So I'm sure snowboarding still provides you that same outlet.
Oh, yeah.
So, I appreciate it. I'll probably see you at the gym tomorrow morning. Thank you so much, Russ.
Thanks,
it means the world to me, yo. I appreciate it.